In all the time I've been making videos, I don't think I've yet done one specifically about Prusa Slicer. Well, I guess it's finally time. Prusa Slicer 2.4 released not too long ago, and I've been meaning to make a video about the new features for a while now. I like to consider myself fashionably late to the party, but I think a lot of you might not have upgraded yet, or maybe not even tried the slicer yet, so I'll still cover these new features anyway. One of the main reasons I'm late doing this is because I found the number of new features frankly a bit intimidating. I made a shortlist in my notepad of the ones I want to cover. Good luck reading that, but I realised pretty early on that this is going to be about 3 videos long. This one is the first one, and if you can read my writing, then you'll see I've numbered the 3 points I want to get through on this video, so let's get right to it. Installing the new version, by the way, is different, I think, to older versions. It's been a while since I installed Prusa Slicer, so I don't 100% remember, but I wanted to show you this bit. There's kind of a wizard process to add your printers. You can add all your printers in here at this stage. I don't really want to import my old profiles at the moment, because since I've last used this slicer, I've changed one printer to direct drive, I've added a multi-colour mixing nozzle, I've retired 2 other printers. It just feels like time to refresh and start from scratch. For the 2 extruder printer, the G-Tech, the mixing printer, I did have to add that manually, and I had to add the extra extruder afterwards. This wasn't a massive problem, and we're not here to talk about that, probably something to look at later. We are here to talk about new features. First up is the auto colour change detection feature, which I'm excited about because I do make a lot of signs, being that kind of person. I have to say this is more of a quality of life feature because it doesn't do anything that you couldn't do before by yourself. How it works? It uses an algorithm to determine whether the object you're slicing is a sign or not. And here's a sign I made to test it. Basically, you slice it, then the dialogue comes up in the corner like so, and you click it, and it puts the colours in, and you have to slice again. Of course, I had to know how Prusa Slicer decides what makes a sign, and I couldn't find it documented anywhere other than in the release notes, which is a bit vague. So, I poked around in the code, and I found this. Now, trying to understand code is literally the worst way of documenting a feature, so I'm probably going to get some of this wrong. But you can see this section contains the logic. I think it's all the logic, actually, which is nice. We've got, if it's a new print, then work out the X and Y size and the height, and check if the object's height divided by the longest size is greater than 0.3. So, in plain English, we're looking for something flat, basically, here, I think, in dimensions. If not, it just jumps out of the if statement, which avoids the dialogue coming up. Next, it does some stuff where it's testing if 25% of the height is a solid object. This is using some maths that I'm not going to work out, and as you can see from the comment, the bottom layer to object size is also important. And if all of this is true, you will get the sliced object looks like the sign notification, which is translated to whatever language you're currently using. So that's pretty reasonable, I think. Of course, you could fool it into thinking you have a sign when you don't, but whatever, just don't click on the prompt when it appears. I personally like this functionality because it saves you having to spend time working out which layer to colour change, and it saves you having to learn how to colour change if you haven't actually done it before, or if you've forgotten how to do it. As to what it actually does, it puts essentially what's in this box here, in the machine settings, into the G-code. Here we can see that if we search for it in the generated code. And it works fine, as you can hopefully see in my footage. When the printer hits the M600 code, it will behave however its firmware has told it to. This depends on the printer and the firmware. It either spits out the filament out the back and asks for more, or it makes you change it yourself. You just follow the prompts. By the way, if you have an Ender 3 V2 like I do, you absolutely must install Jaya's firmware or another firmware for this to work. The stock firmware does not work with M600 codes. I forget how it doesn't work. I think it's an issue with not being able to disable individual steppers, so it's really hard to get the filament out and back in again, and if you disable all the steppers, the gantry will drop. Yeah, it was something that I tried a while ago and I just gave up. But I don't want to revisit that. The answer is just install Jaya's and it will work perfectly. Anyway, and this is good, if you have a multiple extruder printer, in my case the G-Tech that I've mentioned before, with the mixing nozzle, they have made provision for this too. Instead of the colour change code that I showed you, it will put a tool change code in there instead. So for the G-Tech, it sticks a T1 in instead of the M600. This is why it's super important. If you have a mixing nozzle or dual extruder setup, you must set up that in Prusa Slicer for this to work. That's enough of that though. Next feature. Negative volumes. This is probably the most underrated feature of this whole release. Seriously. If you CAD, then you will immediately recognise this as a Boolean operation, or whatever you might call it. You can do this in all CAD packages, and it is pretty core to making just about anything. The key takeaway, pun intended, is that Prusa Slicer is letting you do these operations on an STL file, and it's really neat. You don't end up with a weird meshy mess. So it's something you really need to be using in Prusa Slicer if you aren't already. I set up a couple of scenarios to help you figure out some uses for this feature. Firstly, I put a cylinder right through a Benchy and I made a Benchy bead. The cool thing about this feature is that if you're adding a modifier to the object itself, as you can see, when you shrink the object, the modifier shrinks too. It's relative to the object. This is really user-friendly, really useful. And of course I printed it out, here it is. The next scenario is to put screw holes in just about anything. This is really simple, almost effortless. Finally, and this is the most cool of all, you can make your own STL-shaped holes in anything too, so you can subtract one object from another. Apart from hilarious composite objects, of course, this means you can personalize stuff with any logo or image so long as it's a 3D object. This means that you can do things in the slicer that you previously would have had to have combine two objects in a positive manner. That would be a logo sticking out. You can now do it inwards as well. Absolutely brilliant. So finally for this episode we have mesh simplification. Again, this is something really cool that you would normally need to use another package for. In this case I think Blender is probably the go-to tool for this. I've used Blender to do it, and Blender does do it well. But again, Prusa Slicer is doing this effortlessly and really well. You can see here I simplified the standard rabbit. The cool thing is that this is actually also iterative, meaning you can simplify it all the way, and then you want it simplifying some more, you can simplify it again, and it will work fine. The net result is a really cool polygon rabbit. This is definitely a feature that I'm going to be using quite a lot. So that's the first of, I think, probably 3 videos on this new version. I feel like by the time I get to the last one, there'll probably be another version with another raft of features at the rate that they're going at the moment. So thumbs up to the Prusa Slicer developers if you end up watching this. I know I didn't expect any attention from Ultimaker in my last video, but I was surprised that it certainly got seen by the development team. So if you're watching this, Prusa Slicer devs, then keep at it. We do appreciate it. And tree supports, maybe. So I'm going to see you next time with a printer review. I know what you're thinking at this point. Oh no, he's sold out. I mean, maybe I have, maybe I haven't. But I'm hoping to combine a printer review with some really useful content. So be sure to watch the next video. I promise it will not be like the usual printer unboxing and review stuff. Anyway, that's it. Go make some cool stuff with these new features and show me it on Discord, link below. Thank you for watching.